Welcome to Basic Binges on the Nom Talk Network, people, where we are talking about the season finale of The Mandalorian Season 3, and also technically the entire season of Mandalorian Season 3. As you can see, I'm glitching back and forth because I'm wearing a special suit today, which kind of blends into my Zoom background. But that being said, I'm not the only one that's rocking some special stuff. With me always, I cannot do this by myself. I need an entire tribe because Mandalorians are stronger together, right, guys?
That's right.
So
this is the way.
Tribe of four.
way.
This is the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, as always, I'm joined with some very special guests. Elysia, I would love to introduce you first. Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, I'm Elysia Brenner. I'm Elysia from Amsterdam, and yeah, you can find me on Twitter at ElysiaCB, talking Star Wars and a bunch of other geek stuff.
This is the way. Awesome. Michael, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Michael Lee. I write for That's in LA, We Live Entertainment, and the Nerds of Color, where I write all about pop culture and films, and yeah.
Excellent. This is the way. And Julie, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes. I don't know why I said it like that. Hi. I'm Julie. I've got my buddy bo-katan with me tonight. I also got Grogu, who's somewhere. And we didn't say what we're eating. I was gonna say what you're eating and drinking. Well,
that's right.
I got some. Well, this is actually, I don't know if anybody watched our Renfield stream the other night, but I made this concoction called Dracula's Blood. It's just like a bunch of non-alcoholic sparkling like red drinks, like cranberry flavored and stuff. I still had some left over, so I'm drinking that in my, not Star Wars related, but I'm drinking it in my Batu glass, so that counts, right? And guess what? I have cake bites. I think
I was gonna say, I'm opening up my cake bites too.
I'm so excited. We got the Mando ones. And I've got some shrimp pasta again for dinner / sustenance. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't have cake bites because I'm in Europe, but I made an R2D2 bowl of chocolate.
Oh,
chocolate,
there we go.
Yeah.
I love it.
Honestly, sounds just as good. So
it does. And then I'd like to thank our producer Stephanie for hooking everyone up in the US with cake bites. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I think these are cinnamon cake bites.
These are cinnamon.
Yeah.
And they smell very strong in a good way though.
Are we all trying them? Are we all doing this on camera and like trying them and eating them?
You know what? I need coffee with this. This would go
right
well with
now.
coffee.
Here I have some. Would you want some?
You would like to have some? Yes, please.
Are we doing it right now?
I guess we can. Let's see.
Or we can
do it
later, whatever.
Let's go
try it.
Oh, you have to, Mike, you have to go eat. Oh, see, why doesn't so Mike is just slightly pulling his helmet forward and feeding himself underneath. Apparently someone needs to tell Din Djarin that this is an option.
Apparently they don't do this. I guess they don't have cake bites there. Hang on.
Oh yeah, these are good.
So we need to see Mike actually try to drink because I want to know how Mandalorians drink with their helmets on.
Is it working?
The same thing where they like pull up the helmet a little bit and then
it's not working.
Does that work for you, Mike?
Hang on, I'm trying to get that first sip.
I guess straws are popular on Mandalore.
I don't think it's working, guys.
It's not working.
Yeah. No, it's unfortunate. I really hope that I didn't get cake bite on this thing. It's like my collectible helmet. So I'm like, shit, if this has cake bite on it, then that sucks. But yeah.
What's the signature?
I think that's what
Mike?
we should ask Pedro.
So
how do they eat
seriously
without making a mess inside their helmet? Because if that stuff starts to collect, it's gonna start smelling.
Oh yeah, it does look like that. That's awesome.
Oh, wait, sorry about that, Mike. What was that?
No, I was going to say, how do they properly eat without getting messy on the inside? Because
oh my god,
imagine if that stuff starts to collect and smell, it's not going to be there.
Like, yeah,
I wonder that too.
I half wonder if Din Djarin's head just smells like pizza and like old noodles and stuff after a while. I don't know. That'd be
Yeah,
gross.
Can we bring up for a second the fact that like when Pedro Pascal, when we've seen him take off the helmet in seasons past, he looks like sweaty helmet head, like you'd expect. Whenever bo-katan takes off her helmet, it's like the most perfect hair I've never
Gorgeous.
had
Oh,
in
yeah.
my helmetless life.
Like not even a hair out of place.
That's how you know she's a true Mandalorian, you know?
She's got it down to an art. She's like figured it out. She's like, I found this like extra grade hair gel, you guys, that like sticks my
knows how
hair into
to,
place. So
yeah, keep her helmet, keep that shine, and yeah,
I got some anti-sweat spray that I spray on,
I know.
exactly.
I'm trying to hide all my laundry, by the way, so I apologize on the stream if you're watching me shift over this way very subtly to like hide my laundry. Anyways, I just don't want anyone to see my dirty laundry. But yeah, that being said, what an episode, guys. I really love this one. I think it's fair to say that I'm pretty goddamn biased. I mean, like, look, I don't know if you could tell, but yeah, I'm pretty biased. But I really enjoyed this one. I want to see what everybody else think. Overall, I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on the episode? Did you guys like how it ended?
I thought it was okay.
You thought it
I'll
was
say
okay?
that because of what
Satisfied.
it's been leading up to and everything. I felt that it was a way that I could be satisfied with, but at the same time, I have some issues with it. But yeah, overall, I liked it.
Very good. I'd love to get into those issues, Mike, and see like deconstruct things with you a little bit. We'll get into that for sure. But okay, that's good. That's pretty cool. Anyone else?
I have in general been like a fan of the season overall, and the last episode kind of fell in with that, where I was like, oh, this wasn't expected. I still enjoyed it, but I still like don't think it's perfect. And I've been thinking a lot about people complaining, and I've decided like my biggest issue with the season overall is that it looks like there was too much executive interference. Like there was that it wasn't that Favreau and Filoni weren't given full reign to just tell things their way.
Got it. By the way, I'm tilting my helmet like this because it's really hard to see in this.
That's fair.
Break the code.
This is
Take
the
off
way.
your helmet.
We'll see. I'll see. I want to see how long I can go with this thing on. We'll if without also putting sweat in this premium helmet. Anyways, Julie, what about you? What'd you think?
I loved it. I will say there was some things I wish would have happened. But so I mean, it was maybe a little bit more tame than I expected, but I still loved it. I mean, I'm probably a little biased as well.
Yeah.
But I've just been enjoying this whole season, and it did make sense. Like it made sense for what was happening prior to this, like so. And we got to see some awesome like fight scenes and stuff like that, which I'm sure we'll get into. Action sequences. So yeah, I know. I liked it.
I think I might be one of the few that really loved it. I don't know why. I mean,
I thought I was going to be alone, but I feel like our fellow co-hosts here have pretty much
Well,
I don't know if they feel the same way, but
90% still like loved it. Okay.
Okay.
I mostly loved it.
Missing a few things doesn't make me love it less. Okay.
Okay.
For my
we'll
personal.
see.
Yeah.
Like I will say, I mean, for me, the action was goddamn amazing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. I will give it that.
It felt very like so when Mando first debuted, I think like the third episode of season 1 where he's rescuing Grogu from the doctor and the client and everything. It was like the closest thing that Star Wars had ever gotten to John Wick. And we hadn't had that kind of action in a while. And I think this kind of really reminded me of those early days. Especially like the shield gate sequence. That was like so John Wickish. And I love that. I love it when Star Wars kind of does that. I think Acolyte's going to do stuff like that too. I love the action. I thought it was really good. I was actually pretty satisfied with a lot of the storylines. For me, I didn't think it was so easy for something like this, which was this short, to be rushed, and it didn't feel rushed to me. I thought it actually was paced out kind of nicely, and
That's true.
That's true. I got a fair amount of payoff from it. So yeah, I think that those are my 2 cents. But Yeah, I'd love to start getting into details about what worked and what didn't work for you guys. Elysia, I'd love to start with you. Especially in regards to the executive interference kind of thoughts that you had. What did you think didn't work? And what for you was felt like executive interference?
Well, so the rumor is that basically Kathleen Kennedy stepped in after like Grogu was going to be taken away by Luke after season 2. And apparently the original plan was, to take their sweet time with reuniting Din and Grogu, or sorry, I guess Din is the last name. So reuniting Jaren and Grogu.
Yeah.
But then, they ended up shoving that into the end of Book of Boba Fett, which I didn't mind because I'm going to watch everything anyway. And those episodes were awesome. But what that means is like we got that rushed story that this season could have played out more and had more like payoff. And I think for me, it's just little details like that where I'm like, I like where you went, but you could have gone further. Like the way that bo-katan, when she's talking about the division between Mandalorians versus them fighting against the Empire, like I would have loved to have seen more like showing how the Mandalorians took themselves down so that it means more when they team back up and, take down the Empire together, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or the Imperial remnants in this case. Yeah.
I feel like to that point, they could have benefited from a longer season, like with a lot more backstory and a lot more flashbacks of Mandalorian history. It's a shame that it was only 8 episodes. And what we got out of the 8, I really enjoyed. But yeah, a longer season and exactly what you were saying, kind of just seeing how the Mandalorians took themselves down, to bring them back up to make that triumph feel even more palpable. That is a really good note. But yeah. Yeah. Mike, what about you? What worked, what didn't work? I'd love to hear criticisms.
Well, I want to kind of piggyback on what Elysia said, because it did feel like some of those individual episodes, which worked so well, and again individually, were, I guess, like backdoor pilots to some other stuff, basically. Like we could have gotten like what was that? The Elia Kane kind of centric character for her own story, or her own kind of anthology series, kind of that like Blade Runner-ish sort of thing. And then there's the whole kind of reestablishing Mandalore. That whole arc that was fine. I mean, I get that what they were going for, but I felt like it could have been done something on its own. And like what Elysia was saying with how the last 2 episodes or the episodes of Boba Fett, when they reunited Din and Grogu, that felt like it could have been an entire season on its own. So it kind of undoes, that waiting to reunite it. I don't know if I'm making any sense, because I was expecting it to be a little bit more drawn out, to see kind of Din reeling and kind of finding out like, what, Din made me, or not Din, Grogu made me such a better version of myself than I was before. So I was hoping for that, but just to see that all rushed in towards the end of the season, toward the end of the season, was kind of disappointing, I guess. But and to see how it all, for season 3, to see how all those individual pieces ended up to something kind of cheesy, like, oh, it's I actually rolled my eyes when I heard cloning. It's like, oh my gosh, again. We're doing this again. We're revisiting this.
Oh, I love that.
But the cloning part was established in season 2, right?
Yeah, but
yeah.
And it's like the through line.
It was a through line, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I wish it was a little bit more original or something like that, because the whole it felt like the whole season was just so spread out amongst each other. And again, that's just had to do with how it was structured and like what they were trying to say, what kind of stories they were planning towards the end. It just, for me, the payoff didn't really amount to much, but those individual action scenes, they really worked well, and it felt like a callback to Star Wars, especially like you said, the droid hacking into the gate scene. That was really fun.
stomping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair points.
Yeah.
Great points, actually, Michael. Yeah. Julie, what about you? What worked, what didn't work?
I don't know that I feel that for me that anything didn't work. I mean, I agree with what you said. I think they maybe could have benefited from a longer season. Now that you mention it, like the fact that I'm thinking about it's only 8 episodes, that's not really a lot. Like I think a lot of the Marvel shows got more. I think even like I don't know.
Friggin'
most shows get,
She-Hulk
like, the
got
12,
more,
like,
and there was
12
no plot line
episodes.
to that. So
Hey, I love She-Hulk. I will defend She-Hulk to the grave.
I love She-Hulk too.
I hated She-Hulk.
I
There
enjoyed
was no
She-Hulk
story.
for what it
That's one of
was
the
and
only
for
ones
what
I
being.
think I
Sorry, go
Sorry.
ahead, Julie. I totally interrupted.
No, you're fine. I haven't seen She-Hulk yet, so I can't make an assessment on that. But it's like one of the only ones I haven't seen. I know I need to watch it. But anyway, so like I think, but the majority of shows, like a 12 season episode seems to be pretty, or 12 episode season seems to be pretty standard. So yeah, I agree with you. Could have definitely benefited because there are definitely some more things they could have done. But I don't know if I would say anything like didn't work. Like I think like it kept in line with the story they were telling through the whole season. And you know, I will say though, if no one's gonna mention this, because we talked about this last time, Mike, no Thrawn.
No
Like,
Thrawn. A mention of Thrawn, but I kind of like that better because they had to close out the story rather than set up Ahsoka, you know?
yeah, that's true. That's true. Like I don't know that they would have had time with what maybe if they had 12 episodes, they could have, but if they, with what they had, I don't think they could. It would have like opened a whole new can of worms and they wouldn't have been able to really get the story in there thoroughly. So yeah. Although
a post-credits sequence would have been nice, right? I mean, like
that would have been cool.
They did that for Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Say that again,
That's
Elysia?
true.
I think everyone was waiting for the post-credit scene.
I was waiting for a post-credit.
I sped through the scene. I sped through the credits just to look for it.
Yeah.
I was looking at that little image. It was like, is there anything there? And then no. So.
But I think Zeb was our little gift to our appetizer for Ahsoka, that Zeb cameo.
Yeah. And the Thrawn name drop in the previous episode.
And and mentioning Thrawn, Oh, talking about Thrawn. I was joking on Twitter that like that conversation about Thrawn was exactly like the conversation between all of Star Wars fans and like Dave Filoni. You know, it's like you speak of Thrawn, but we never see him.
Guys, I'm gonna make myself an apostate. I can't really take it much longer. Hang on.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Well, now you know.
We
now
forgive
you know their pain.
Just go bathe in the waters of Mandalore again, and you'll be fine.
That's to resolve everything.
It's
just
the
take
sweat.
a bath.
That's my bath. It's a sweat bath. Sorry.
There you
go.
Sorry.
It's like a sauna.
That being said, really great points. I did want to see Thrawn. I did want to see a post-credit sequence, but that being said, it's not that long until Ahsoka comes out, so I'm pretty happy.
That's
I could
so
wait
we're probably
for
gonna
it.
get that in that show.
Yeah, I have a feeling, as much as I love Mando season 3, and I think that I might be one of the few people that gets on my soapbox to actively defend it because I really enjoyed it. Season. But Elysia, you're pretty vocal about that too, and we're on the same camp, I think. Julie as well. But I have a feeling Ahsoka's gonna blow everything away. And I think the reason being is, no disrespect, I actually love Jon Favreau. I think he's a good writer. I think Dave is a stronger writer, though, and he knows these characters a lot more than anyone else. And I don't think anyone at all should write for the Rebels characters, except for the man who created the Rebels characters.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yep. So I agree. Yeah.
And the episodes, with the exception of Jurassic World, the episodes that Dave Filoni co-wrote with Jon Favreau have been the strongest so far. I think. So I've really enjoyed a lot of the work that he's done on the Mandalorian, and seeing him kind of go solo, writing and directing these episodes on his own, but also with I think he brought in some really great talent. I think Rick Famuyiwa is coming in, of course. Bryce Dallas Howard, I think, is also doing a couple of episodes. Peter Ramsey's returning, and Peter Ramsey did a terrific episode. I think he was the one that did the Pirates episode.
Yes,
which I really enjoyed. Plus Spider-Verse. Who doesn't love Spider-Verse? So yeah, I think he's got some great talent there. I think it's going to be really good. I can't wait for it. But I'm very satisfied with what we got from Mando. I'm half wondering though if, and this kind of goes back to what you were mentioning, Elysia, in the same way that I feel like the reason Marvel quality has, most people think it's declined, it's because they're overextending themselves with too many projects at once. And that's kind of Disney's MO, when they start taking over things, they franchise the living crap out of it. And I'm half wondering if that's kind of what's going on here, because in a given year, you had Mando, you have Ahsoka, you've got you had Book of Boba Fett last year, you had Mando season 2, you have the movie that's coming out. There's so much that they're trying to build up and trying to do in a short period of time that I half wonder if it impacts the creativity of it. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the rumor is that there was too much interference on the Mandalorian, and Favreau and Filoni have been putting more effort into Ahsoka this year. So that kind of, it raises my hype a bit. And also, and I mean, just Ahsoka herself raises my hype a bit. My hype.
Yeah. Think it'll be good.
Julie's now holding a baby Yoda on her lap.
A din Grogu, which every time I hear that,
Grogu.
every time I hear the phrase din Grogu, I cringe a little. I'm like, ugh,
oh
such a terrible name.
Oh, I love it.
I was fine with baby Yoda or not giving him, or the kid, and then we had to give him Grogu. It's like, okay, fine, we'll call him Grogu. And now,
but don't we?
Cute name though.
We all love Grogu now, don't we? It took a minute, but we all love it now, right?
We all love the name Grogu for sure. But when they were like, oh, you're going to, I would like to adopt him. I was like, aw. And she's like, henceforth, you'll be known as Din Grogu. I was like, ugh, that's terrible.
Would you prefer Grogu Jaren, if that was a thing?
I kind of would.
I don't know.
I don't know which one is better or worse. I don't know.
Both pretty bad. I mean, I don't know.
But a lot of people
are Jaren. Come on.
I mean, she could have been like, you are now a clan of 2, which she has said before, right? Like, you're a clan of 2, and you will be Clan Jaren. Or because Clan Din doesn't make any sense, especially since Bo-Katan doesn't go by Clan Bo-Katan. She goes by Clan
true.
Grease.
But someone was saying that maybe it was because Din Djarin was his name before, so that's why he has a different naming convention.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
like before he was a foundling.
Because he was a foundling. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, that's just headcanon, but no.
I'll accept that.
No, I'll. That's a good explanation, though.
Yeah,
I think. I guess they can call it like House Foundling because it's just just foundlings.
House Foundling.
House Foundling. I mean, like, honestly, I think Giancarlo Esposito just continues to do amazing work here. I loved him in this. He's so nefarious. Do you think we've seen the last of Moff Gideon, guys?
No.
He's too smart for that. Yeah.
I think he's too much of a big bad for Star Wars to just be like, nope, that's the end of him. I mean, they did do that with Darth Maul, and we never saw him again. Technically, other than,
it could be a while, but yeah.
Right. I don't know, but I think that the way that they portrayed him, and the thing is with Darth Maul is that, like, you didn't see much of him before he, and I know you see him later, and I know you see him in Rebels and whatever. I'm aware of that, but I just mean in general, like in the movie. So in this situation, you see a lot of buildup with Moff Gideon, and so I don't think they just get rid of him that easily.
It'd be a waste if they did. Giancarlo is
he has
so
a bigger
good.
role to play in this, especially if they're going to have him in such short scenes in this season. He has to have a bigger role next season.
Yeah. I think
I have a question.
Building up to something. Like, I think he's going to be one of those, like, he's one of those mofos that, like, doesn't want to die. Like, I really think he's that.
Well, what's your question, Elysia? Yeah.
So do you guys think, okay, if he's coming back, I have 3 theories for how that could happen, and I'm wondering which you guys find the most likely. So one is that not all of his clones have been killed. Two is that we get, like a sort of crispy Moff Gideon in a suit, like Anakin style, or three is that there's a theory going around the internet that because this Moff Gideon didn't have a mustache, he was actually himself one of the clones, the one that they fought and killed at the end.
Oh,
That's a really good
Ooh.
point.
I
Which
like
do you
that
guys
theory.
think?
I like that theory. That's definitely, now that you say that, that's definitely a probability and would be very in line with something they would do on this show, I think. So,
I kind of want a crispy Gideon. Is that weird?
I want a
Like,
Gus Fring. Come on, I want the Gus Fring.
like with half the face blown
half the
off.
face. Yeah.
I mean, I would
'Cause
be
he-
okay with that as
And
well.
clones.
Because
But again, it would be very in line with the Star Wars universe.
wouldn't that be just like a hell of a shot? You see like an explosion and then someone walks out and he's got the helmet on and you're like, Moff Gideon, holy crap. And then he takes it off and it's like Gus Fring face. And you're
Yeah,
like,
Gus-
oh,
and then he
shit.
straightens out his like suit, like, you know what, here I am. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love that, honestly. But the clone theory was something that I never even considered. And I
Yeah.
love that freaking theory.
No, that it was
That's a deep cut though,
yeah,
man.
that's a
Yeah.
brilliant theory, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I like that. That's
I have to give the internet credit for that one.
But still, like, it's the thing about it that's kind of brilliant as well. And I'm glad that you brought it up because I didn't even see that or hear about that. So it's great that you brought it up. But the thing that's kind of brilliant about that is I think a lot of people, not me personally, I actually was pretty satisfied with it, but a lot of people were kind of disappointed that that was really what this whole cloning thing was about. And that's what the whole chasing Grogu to harvest midichlorians was about, was him building himself clones, only for all of them to just die like right then and there, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like if that's the end of the storyline, I can understand why it's disappointing to everyone. But if it's the setup for something bigger, then heck yeah, I would love that. I'd love for that to pay off even better, to justify all of the stuff that has gone into this storyline and not just have it end with Din typing a couple of things and then suffocating these drones or these clones.
Exactly.
Do you guys believe him that he like managed to figure out how to make them force sensitive, or do you think he was just BSing? No,
I think he was trying, but I don't think he did.
Yeah, I think it was more BS.
Yeah.
About
Well,
that.
because he didn't really get enough time with Grogu,
Yeah.
I feel like, to get, but yeah, I do think he was trying. He was absolutely he was trying to do, but I don't know if he did. Yeah, I don't think he did.
I mean, he did have Grogu for a pretty long time, enough to harvest some blood,
Well,
so it's
okay.
very
And
possible.
Grogu probably
Killed-
wasn't the first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very
Oh,
true.
that's
too.
Killed his
true.
only
Yeah,
doctor,
that's a good point. He
too.
might have had other.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess
that
you're
is-
right. I forgot how long he was with Grogu, so I guess
Yeah.
he could have had
Yeah.
enough time, but I don't know.
But Mike, you're right. I mean, Pershing's, well, I wouldn't say Pershing's dead, but he's definitely like brain wiped.
Brain, yeah. I was not killed,
But-
yeah, brain wiped, but brain dead. But yeah, I feel like for him to try it, like he should have said, like, or not said, he should have just gone about it a different way. So you know what? I'm just going to capture Pershing anyway, and I'll keep Elia Kane where she is right now. It's like an inside, like a mole of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he wanted to continue that or really accomplish what the whole what was that, capturing the essence of the Force,
Mhm.
I think killing Pershing was just the wrong way to go. But that's just me.
I feel like he's not dead. I
I
mean,
feel like
I don't
he's not
think.
dead too.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
No, I keep saying killing. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
But-
No, no.
But mind wipe. I feel like
Mind wipe.
yeah, mind
Yeah.
wipe. Yeah, was the wrong way to go.
He might still come back. I feel like we don't know anything about the tech that they use to like torture him or anything like that. And people get tortured all the time in the Star Wars universe and bounce back okay. I mean, like
True.
Andor is like 75% torture porn. So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like we got Bix scenes where she's being
Yeah.
tortured. We got Andor scenes where he's being tortured in the prison. Everybody's just getting tortured on that show. But yeah.
Pershing could be the Hector Salamanca of the group, basically, all stroked out and
Oh my
unable to
god.
speak.
Yeah, he's like in a wheelchair and then
He's in a wheelchair. Yeah,
That'd
let's
be
give him
so-
a bell.
that'd be so good.
All right, let's do if they're watching,
Love that.
you know,
Hey,
we're
it's a
giving you
Beskar
ideas
bell.
right here.
They're making
Beskar
odes
bell.
to
There you
everything
go.
else, yeah.
Oh my
A
god.
Beskar bell.
The best.
Best card, Bell. I mean, yeah,
Oh,
they're
man.
making nods to everything else, like Blade Runner and Star Trek and everything else. Why not Breaking Bad?
Why not Breaking
I
Bad?
mean,
Why
yeah.
not Breaking Bad?
Like when sorry, I was gonna call him Gus Fring. When Giancarlo emerges with like the half face blow, and he just like takes out a fried chicken drumstick and starts eating it.
It's a pork, a fried
Yeah,
pork.
it's a fried pork. Porgos Hermanos.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, that'd be amazing. But yeah, no, yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about actually, spies. Because I think it was a red herring. Everybody was anticipating that someone was gonna go bad. Some people had their money on the armor. Some people had money on Axe Woe. Some people had money on the. You had money on the armor, or
No, I had money on Axe Woes last
Axe Woe?
week.
Yeah, me too.
I was
Yeah.
Team Armorer.
You're Team Armorer, and then
I was.
some people were also like, oh, the pirate guys. So
Yeah.
I was kind of Team pirate guys. Let's have them be the traitors because we don't know anything about them. But surprisingly, it's no one, and I kind of love that even more. I don't know if,
Well,
what
or
you
do
guys
we just
felt.
not know yet, and someone is still very closely working with them? Like, I was a little sad that there wasn't a reveal, but like, yeah, it could
Yeah.
be either way though. It could be like you said, it's just nobody, or it could
Yeah.
be somebody is still like, but they fought so hard to like blast the Empire into oblivion
It would-
that like,
It wouldn't make sense, right?
yeah,
Like if
it
any.
really wouldn't.
Plus, it really has. You have to tie that theme of Mandalorian unification into
Yeah.
this season, and it would make no sense and destroy that theme completely if somebody was a traitor amongst the Mandalorians. Which would be really heartbreaking and sad, especially if it was the armorer. I was really like, don't let it be the freaking
No,
armorer.
yeah,
Yeah,
that would have been
I
a
really
weird
did not
character
want that.
turn.
Yeah,
But,
I would have been very disappointed if that happened. I think we talked
But
about that last week too.
I still need to know the armorer's backstory. I need to know her name. I need to know. I mean, because she could still be Rook Cast,
Yeah.
who used to be with Gar Saxon.
Yeah.
Serving Maul.
Mhm.
Notice
so
that she's
she-
the only one with horns, amongst
Yeah.
those helmets. So yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean she's a traitor, but that's still, it's interesting just that we just don't know anything about where she came from or who she is. And I think that's why I've had such a hard time trusting her.
Very true.
Mm,
The thing
that's
is,
fair.
though, like at this point in time, she's done way too much good for them to turn
Yeah.
on that image, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I feel like if you were to do this season 2, it's early enough where we could buy that sort of a heel turn. But unless things go really bad for Bo-Katan and the rest of the Mandalorians, it's hard for them to do that right now. They could definitely do it in the future where they do like that heel turn. But even then, heel turn or no heel turn, you're right, Elysia. Like the backstory's never been revealed, and I definitely want to know more about her backstory and where she came from, and all that stuff. Especially if she was loyal at all to Maul and Gar Saxon's reign. That's very interesting because we haven't addressed that at all in this series. So yeah, that'd be fascinating. I know. But
it
yeah,
wouldn't have to mean that she's a bad person.
Yeah, absolutely. It could just mean that she was someone who chose a side. The side didn't work out, and now she realized and changed that there's a better side to things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what is Mandalore if not centuries of infighting? So if they're able to make it work now, great.
Bo-Katan used to be on that side.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Exactly. She used to be a child of the Watch. Speaking of Bo-Katan, there were so many moments that were just making me smile in this episode, like with her and the Darksaber. Like her every single time, I think all of the Mandalorians would swarm together and like rocket away like throughout the sky and everything like that. I love that. But I think one of my favorite scenes ever was when she's just like dive bombing with the Darksaber out and just like slicing
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
up as they're flying up
Yeah.
at her. I was like,
That was
it's
badass.
so cool. But apropos that, I mean, how do we feel about the Darksaber and where that storyline went?
Biggest death of the season.
The dark saber.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good way. to start the season.
Yeah, I was so sad. Like after all that she went through to work to get it, and then it just gets crushed. But I think maybe it's still salvageable. I don't know. I like to hope.
Ray built hers, you know. I mean, like she or
Right.
not
That's what I
hers,
mean.
but
Like the
fixed-
sabers can be rebuilt, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I feel like that's gonna have to happen because she didn't just work so hard to get that, and then you know, then it's just gone forever. So
as long as that
But-
kyber crystal is still intact, right? Like
Yeah.
you can
that's true.
definitely
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
You know, yeah.
put it in
I was
the
gonna
new
say, given
igniter.
it,
Or maybe
yeah.
Grogu needs to get a kyber crystal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. That'd be cool. It's a shame that he can't. Like Luke's never going to give him that Yoda lightsaber because he chose, you know, the armor instead of the lightsaber.
No,
but
Yeah,
It's better he gets his own.
he
Grogu's his-
should get his own.
Grogu's his own man. Yeah.
that's true.
He needs to earn it. Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys think it's going to be green if he gets it? I hope it's not green.
No.
Yeah, I kind of hope it's a different color, just because, like you said, he's his own person. And
Yeah, I mean,
So-
like,
we still
Yeah.
don't even know if he's related to Yoda. I mean, he's probably he
Uh,
might not
he
be.
can't.
Is what
I don't
right?
think he is. Yeah,
I
don't
still
he
think
is.
I still think strand cast.
What's that?
I still think he's a strand cast, maybe. Of
Oh.
Yoda.
Interesting. Okay,
Hmm.
can you elaborate on that for those
Well-
who don't know what that is?
Yeah, I actually.
So-
don't.
So I mean, this whole cloning plotline. So right now, like in Mando, like season 3, I think we're in about 7 ABY, so 7 years after the original trilogy. So right now we've got Palpatine sitting in Exegol and like in this rotting body, trying to start to manipulate things from behind the scenes. And what they're working on, which is maybe Project Necromancer that they were talking about in this show. It's like strand casting clones. So for both Palpatine and Snoke,
Mm.
to try to get something that a body that can contain the power of Palpatine. So yeah, and that's just basically, it's like not a direct clone, but it's like a way of taking the DNA and manipulating it a bit.
Oh, like Omega,
Interesting.
right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I
Okay.
don't know if she's qualifies as strand cast, but to me, sure, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was just thinking
Yeah.
modified clone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Yeah.
personalities and stuff.
I think she might be, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean that's a really good question. He definitely could be a clone of Yoda, you know, an offshoot at least. But yeah, I don't think, and I don't know, and I'm okay as well if they never reveal that. You know, I would love to
Mhm.
know, but at the same time, the mystery is kind of great. You know, I mean, like if we never know it, there's something poetic about that as well, because
I like that.
we know,
too.
yeah, we really know nothing about Yoda's species. You know,
Yeah,
it's
do wanna
been
know.
I
You
kind of
want-
do want to know more about the species, though. But yeah, I get what you're saying. The mystery
Yeah.
is cool.
The mystery is cool, and look how the whole Ray reveal turned out. I mean,
Mhm.
I would rather have it as a mystery because it won't meet our expectations if we get that finale
wanted-
to our answer.
I wanted Ray to be a clone of Luke. Like, you know, I would have loved that. Like somebody found Luke's hand at the end of Empire Strikes Back and used the DNA from that to clone Ray. I mean, it would have made way more sense than, oh, suddenly you're a Palpatine. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
terrible. And it would have also
Janitor
explained
that
why she
cleans up
goes
the
in the
bottom of.
But
Okay,
the
I'm
Fucking
not
robot
one of the only
chicken,
ones who
basically.
didn't hate that
Well,
though.
so-
But
somebody
the-
had-
this- Yeah,
Oh,
the
go ahead,
strand
go ahead.
cast. No, the strand casting explains Ray. So her father was a strand cast of Palpatine,
Palpatine.
but he wasn't
Mm.
force sensitive. So Palpatine was like, useless, but I'm still gonna let you live because maybe you have some useful babies. And yeah, so the son ran away, fell in love, and had a useful baby. Yeah.
There you go. I suppose.
Okay.
I'm kind of with Michael. I'm kind of with
Okay.
Mike there. I'm sorry. Like, here's the thing: in Last Jedi, it would explain why her parents were nobody if she was a clone, because she wouldn't have had parents, and it also explains why she would, if she goes into the cave and finds out who her parents were, and all she sees are mirror images of herself down a hallway. That's why I was like, she's got to be a clone. It made more sense that way, and they never explained how Maz Kanata got the freaking lightsaber of Luke. And I thought that they were going to tie that in and finally answer that question. But no, we don't care about any of that. she's a Palpatine. That's so much better than nothing at all. Like, ugh, terrible.
No,
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
This is why I hope the whole Darksaber situation, it gives a chance for them to like reform or rewrite the rules on what identifies as a Mandalorian, how you can be a Mandalorian, so to speak, because there was, like they said, so much blood and so much tension and everything just because of one Darksaber. So that whole so that's why when you spoke about The Last Jedi and nobody's like, you know what, I hope it gives her Rey the chance to be, form her own identity and so to speak.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I gotta ask, I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff in this episode, as we talked about. One of the things for me that I really liked, and I wanted to see what everybody else thought, Grogu using the Force, man. I mean, like, the Force shield was kind of awesome.
Oh,
Him
yeah.
Force jumping from the Praetorian guards and everything like that. Like, Grogu's action sequences were so charming. I love that. I don't know. There's something sweet and heartwarming about seeing him just save his dad and whoop some ass, I mean, like, thoughts on Grogu?
I went back to good thought. I went back to Guardians. Basically, it's like, oh, they're encircled in this in an explosion, so to speak. So it's like, oh, that's like a Groot.
The Groot.
We are Groot.
Oh yeah,
protecting
true.
his family, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
But
I liked it. I liked that scene a lot. That was
I love that scene a lot.
Yeah.
Me too. Because at first you're kind of like, oh shoot, like he's going in against these Praetorian guards who like just killed Paz Vizsla, but like then you're like, but he's got the Force though, like and like he knows how to jump and like yeah,
he's
the kid's
whipping
gonna
him
be
back
all
and
right.
forth.
The kid's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
I mean, he holds his own.
Yeah.
The first Jedi Mando since really like Tar Vizsla, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
for thousands of years. Yeah.
thousands of years. Elysia, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say about. Oh, sorry. Now I don't remember. Before we were talking about Grogu
Sorry.
Jedi. Oh yeah, no, about Jedi Kanan. Kanan from Rebels. Sorry, here comes a Rebels spoiler alert. I don't know if you want to plug your story, but Kanan. At one point, he has like a similar thing, but he can't hold it off of just himself. So do you think that means Grogu is stronger? He's able to hold it off 3 people, or do you think it's just different circumstances?
I think he's stronger.
Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with Yoda's species. And the midichlorian counts in those in that species inherently. Because when you think about it, we've only seen 3 types of Yoda species, and you know what? They were all Jedi, and they were all very powerful Jedi. There's Yoda, there's Yaddle, there's Grogu. So I feel like there's a reason that there's not a whole lot of them, and there's a reason why they're all really good at the Force, really strong with the Force. And I think it's just inherent in that biology, in that species biology. Whereas Kanan, of course, who I love, is he's essentially human. Yeah. So humans, with the exception of Anakin Skywalker and Rey, it's hit and miss, right? Like some are strong, some aren't. Like, okay. Yeah. But I don't know. That's my theory. Anyone else?
I like
you guys have you guys have the Grogu ears on. You should know, right?
Know.
Like,
I feel like I like that theory. So that's it. That's all I have to say.
I'm just infinitely bestowed with the knowledge and the wisdom of that species, like
of the mystery species.
Julie's just gonna float over a soda can to her right now.
I mean, how do you know I'm not right now? You just can't see it.
Yeah, I mean, they say.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's a good theory. I don't really know much about that character, so.
What were you gonna say?
They say they're closer to nature, so like that species, and that's why they are stronger with the Force. Like they're
that makes sense.
More in tune.
They put steroids in the Dagobah swamps so that whenever anyone drinks from there, they just like get midichlorian strong. I don't know. But yeah. No, it's great seeing Grogu kind of just doing his thing. I do want to talk New Republic and potentials for where Din Djarin's story can go and Din Grogu's story. Because at the end of this episode, we get Mr. Carson Teva back again in a bar with, I believe Dave was in the background again. But this time, just anyways, a little bit more visible. Anyways, but Mando comes in with Grogu doing his little walk, which is like the cutest goddamn thing ever. I'm sorry. Like when Grogu walks, it's so cute. And Mando's like, hey, I've got a proposition. I could be your contracting, consulting bodyguard detective guy that could help hunt down Imperials and stuff like that, stray Imperials.
Yeah.
Which I think is freaking awesome because if you think about it, Batman was a part-timer, Sherlock Holmes was a consulting detective. It's perfect for Din Djarin. It's off the books, and Carson Teva could use all the help that he can get, considering that he gets nothing from the New Republic.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of that? And where do you think that this truly is sort of the end of Din Djarin's story? And any subsequent appearances will be probably in the movies and kind of concluding the storyline of the New Republic, or do you think that we've got a Mando season 4 in place and it's going to be him kicking names and taking ass in every episode, just like bounty hunting Imperial villains?
Well, if we are to believe that Jon Favreau finished all season 4, I think it's going to basically yeah, he finished writing at least. That it's basically going to go back to the tone of season 1, where it's just a bounty hunter going episode by episode, taking names and kicking ass sort of thing. So yeah, that's what I feel
Is
like
that
season 4 is going to be.
for you, Mike? Would that be an upgrade from season 3?
Yes, I kind of like the whole gunslinger Western theme that they had going on in season 1, and how that carried on a little bit into season 2 with the whole wolf and cub thing.
Yeah,
because I get what season 3 was trying to do. It wasn't so much of Mando's episode, but so much more of rebuilding what was burned to the ground sort of thing. But going back to a more Din Djarin focused season would be great in season 4.
Okay. Julie, what about you?
Oh, I definitely think it's going to be the latter, where we're going to get to see a lot more. I mean, first of all, like, you don't have Mando without Grogu, and like everybody loves Grogu. Like, they're not going to just forsake that storyline. Like, they know that the people want to see Grogu with Mando, of course. So I definitely think, yeah, and from what I've heard is that like Jon Favreau wants to keep making Mandalorian as long as people want to keep watching it. So like there's probably more seasons than season 4 even. So I think that, yeah, I think it's going to be more of the latter. You're going to see him like doing his missions or whatever. But I would love to see like a hybrid where he gets to have some more interaction with the Mandalorians and their culture and stuff, because I feel like personally that was the only thing that kind of was like, well, I thought that was the whole point. Like you wanted to like kind of be received back into their culture, and now you're going off on your own again, which like I said, I'm fine with, because like he deserves it. He earned it. Like he deserves his little alone time with Grogu, whatever. But like at the same time, I kept thinking like he was building towards like trying to be part of that culture again. So like I would be okay if it was maybe like a hybrid of like both, where like you get to see a little bit of season 1, like he's just going on these side missions or whatever, but then you also get to see like a little bit of that into like maybe he comes back and helps out the all the Mandalorians as well.
That's an interesting idea. And I wouldn't be opposed to that if they had like a spin-off series centered on Mandalore,
Oh,
and you
that
can
would be
call
cool too.
right? Yeah, like the Real Housewives of Mandalore, and see what happens when, like
The real helmet wives.
The real helmet wives. Bo-katan versus Casca. No,
like Casca's doing this to Bo-Katan, and then like a little cat there or something like that, like hisses.
Grogu comes up, yeah.
Documentary style too, shots so there's all the shaky cam and everything like that.
Oh my gosh.
No, but I honestly wouldn't mind if they did very much a Game of Thrones, like the lore of Mandalore, which, by the way, I mean, they went a lot deeper in this season, but they really only scratched the surface. There's enough there to do thousands of years of history there to do a kind of a Game of Thrones storyline thing. There's different houses. There's a lot of infighting. Like there's so much potential there to explore that story and that history altogether. And having Din and Bo really weave into a story like that would be really interesting. So it's a great idea, and it's an interesting thought to see Din weave into the greater Mandalore story here and there. But then, as you said, hybrid, have him also just go on bounty hunting missions and stuff. I mean, it seems to be what a lot of people like. Personally, myself, I'm more of a serialized storytelling kind of guy. That's just who I am by trade. So getting to see, us get introduced to the new characters in season 1, and then have us explore the introduce the idea of Mandalore and the deeper mythology in season 2, and then really go crazy with that mythology in season 3 made a lot of sense to me. So I like that it was building up to something meaningful for me. But I think since a lot of people really do like the idea of, kind of a procedural where Din is going around just taking down people, I think you're right. There is going to be an element of that. I just hope, in the spirit of a hybrid, as you mentioned, he does still get folded into something more meaningful, because I don't want to see a series of just him. Oh, I took down this guy. Next episode, I took down this guy. Next episode, because
same.
it's a meaningless,
I'm not
pointless show. Yeah.
Not to quote the Twitter trolls, but I don't want all filler episodes.
Yeah. And it's funny because there was so much criticism this season about how much of it was filler, and I didn't see that at all. I couldn't.
No.
I didn't understand any of that criticisms, and they were like, oh, you had these episodes that were just diverting from the main storyline, but you had that in seasons 1 and 2 as well.
It's like the core.
Totally.
Exactly.
I don't think, do people forget? Do they not remember?
Yeah.
I think people have selective amnesia.
Well, it's also it's the Andor influence too. Like, I've been arguing with people like, well, it's not like Andor. Like, no, but it's like
Mandalorian
itself. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be like Andor.
To be like Mandalore. Like, Star Wars is about multiple stories and within this universe, and different types of styles too. The Acolyte's not going to be anything like Mandalorian or Andor. It's going to have its own style. I think the only things that are going to have similar styles are the Mandoverse ones, because they're inherently connected to one another. So to take something that's not even closely remotely related to the Mandalorian in any way and say that Mandalorian should be like that, despite the fact that 2 years of the Mandalorian have been established since way before Andor, that's silly,
I 100% agree. But as we've talked about before, Star Wars fans are some of the most fickle people in the galaxy, as we say. Like, I feel like there's just no pleasing people sometimes, and so I'm just like, I'm all in. Whatever comes out of the Star Wars universe, I'm all in. I'm here. I'm always going to be a fan. So,
like, it sounds silly, but I feel like the Mandalorian as a series as a whole has kind of a formula where 6 episodes are really, really good, and then 2 episodes are usually mid. So in season 1, I really didn't like the Chicken Walker episode where he first meets Cara Dune. I really didn't care for the Migs Mayfield episode. They're fine episodes, but they're stronger episodes that season. I really hated the Frog Lady Spider episode that Peyton did.
I like that one.
I hated that one. I thought that was one of the most pointless ones. And here in season 3, we had, for me, I didn't care for, even though you guys did kind of turn me around on it, but like the Jack Black Lizzo episode was not my favorite. And then the Pershing episode was not my favorite, but I think people really like those. Yeah, I didn't care for the Pershing episode that much. But it all came together at the end, and I have no complaints about the season as a whole, really, because all of these elements, even in the episodes that I didn't care for as much, played into this larger, narrative. And I think we got payoff in these past 2 episodes. But yeah. Elysia, I didn't get to ask you. I mean, like, where do you think Din's headed? Do you think we've seen the last of him? Do you think him teaming up with Carson Teva? I mean, what does that spell for season 4 for you?
I mean, I feel like they're trying to also, they were going to have that, what was it, Rangers of the Republic or whatever show with Cara Dune, and obviously that was canceled. And I feel like they're trying to work parts of that into the Mandalorian, which I don't mind at all. But yeah, I mean, obviously I want Din Djarin back with Grogu. I'm a little worried about, like, rumors about Pedro Pascal maybe not being happy or being too busy or blah, blah, blah. But I really think, I loved getting this whole Mandalorian story this time, but, Din and Din and Baby Din are the soul of this series. And but I agree with Julie that I would like to see a hybrid. Like I would like them to take the chance to have this greater freedom to go back and visit some old friends like Ahsoka and Peli and everybody else.
Yeah.
But I also want more of the Mandalore storyline. I want them to finally mention Satine.
They haven't through
No.
Bo's story, and we dove into it so deeply, but there was no mention of her at all. You know, even her, she didn't even say my sister was a pacifist or something like that, you know, reference. So I'd love to see that. Yeah.
And Cobb Vanth too, because last we saw him, he was in a Bacta tank. So
yeah. And I would love to see, forgive me, Elysia, I'm gonna rely on you since your nerd card is stronger than ours. But who's the Mandalorian that helped out Sabine and the Rebels crew, the Ghost crew, for most of, voiced by God, I forgot his name. Oh, voiced by Kevin McKidd. You know who I'm talking about? Forgot his name. I wanted to see him, but I don't know. We might get him in Ahsoka. God, what was his name? No one.
I'm
blanking.
I'm looking it up. I don't know who Kevin McKidd is. So let's see.
Finn Rao.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Finn Rao. Sorry.
Yeah.
I brain fart. But yeah, I would have loved to see Finn Rao in addition to like stuff about Gar Saxon, in addition to stuff about Satine. There's so much so much rich, deep history that we already know as viewers that we haven't seen in live action yet. So that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Guys, much like The Mandalorian itself, all good things must come to an end. And this has been a wonderful season talking about all of this with you guys. It's been amazing. I'm so grateful to have had such a terrific panel talking about the highs and lows of this season, but for the most part still maintaining a sense of fandom and love and wonder, not just for Star Wars but the Mandalorian as a whole. So thank you guys so much for everything. Does anyone have any final thoughts before we sign off for this one? Of course, I'll let you guys introduce and plug whatever you want, but just final thoughts about the show and the season as a whole before we get into that.
I
No, go ahead.
can't wait. I can't wait for Ahsoka. I hope there's a season 4. I can't wait for the Skeleton Crew, and I look forward to seeing how it all comes together in this movie that was just announced to end the era.
That Skeleton Crew directors lineup. Oh my God. Oh, you know, you've got Daniels.
Remind me, is that going to be live action or animated?
Live action.
Nice.
With Jude Law. So
Ooh,
it's got an Amblin sort of vibe to it, kind of like Super 8 did back in the day, or back in the thousands. But yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, good call out. Mike, what about you? Any final thoughts?
I really had hope. I didn't feel as conflicted, but you know what? Overall, I like this season. I'm like Elysia. I'm looking forward to Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, and Andor season 2. So and anxiously waiting to see how it all culminates to the movie.
Julie, what about you? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the season. I think it was just fun, and I had a good time watching it. Like, there was never a time when I was like, oh, I just wasted an hour of my life, like I never ever thought that. So not that I would have, but you know what I mean? Like, some people feel that way, but anyway, yeah. And I just like the other two mentioned, I am looking forward to Ahsoka, and now I'm really excited about Skeleton Crew because I did not realize it was live action, so that's exciting. And all the other new stuff to just because hopefully a lot of that's gonna unfold what we've had happen in this season as well and tie it all together. So yeah, should be good.
I think definitely I echo everyone's sentiments here. I don't get me wrong. I'm very excited for Andor season 2. Andor season 1, hands down, one of the best things on TV in the past year. And some of the offshoots like the Acolyte looks and sounds amazing. But admittedly, The one thing that has kept me tethered to Star Wars, even after some of the disappointments that I've, experienced in the past couple of years, like Obi-Wan, Rise of Skywalker, stuff like that. The one thing that has kept me I'm glad one of us does. Or a couple of us probably do.
I loved Obi-Wan too.
It's good.
Listen, I'm very easy to please when it comes to Star Wars. So
I could not
opposite
stand
of most
Obi-Wan.
Star Wars fans. I
But,
just enjoy
the gate
seeing
scene.
different
I remember the
stories
gate scene
being
you didn't
told.
like.
Wait, what?
The coat
gate
scene
scene.
where he's got freaking Leia under his coat. He's walking out like a cartoon character, and like nobody's noticing any of this. I'm like, that's so
But
stupid.
Star Wars is
It should have been the
live
little
action
rascal
cartoon.
thing where she's stacked on the kid.
Yeah. Just with her
But none
head
of-
out the top. Yeah.
And none of Reva's motivations made any sense. Like none of them made
Disagree.
any sense.
Disagree.
She
You
was
didn't
a
like the
terribly
gate scene, I
written
thought.
character.
The checkpoint
Huh?
scene too.
But which checkpoint scene?
Where they were on
Oh.
the desert or something, and they were at the
Yeah, yeah.
checkpoint scene. They could have just walked over it.
Oh yeah, they could have just walked around the gate. I mean, it wasn't that big. Anyways, I had issues with Obi-Wan, but that being said, the one thing that's really kept me tethered to Star Wars has been the Mandoverse. So I'm so super invested in everything that happens in this story that Dave and John have been trying to tell since Mando season 1. I hope that I get to tell it. I get to talk about it with you guys, and that we go through this entire journey together, because that's been one of the most rewarding experiences. And for the last time for this season of The Mandalorian, we are going to redeem one final Nom Talk Network redemption, which we have replaced third person very strategically with something called This Is the Way. So for Nom Talk Network, a redemption for This Is the Way. Everybody, this is the way.
This is the way.
This
Okay.
is the way.
The way. All right. I feel like
the
I feel like we
the way,
delay
the
to
way.
say it at the same time. But
Yeah.
I feel like we could have coordinated that better. Whatever. We all said it. It's cool. It worked. And I love it. So
Time lag for me. How's that?
It's all good. So for the final time, where can everyone find you? Elysia, I'll start with you.
Elysia Brenner at Elysia CB ELYSIACB. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram, and I've just launched a new podcast covering the upcoming series called Silo on Apple TV Plus, which starts May 5th. So if you want some background on that, check that out. It's called Wool Shift Dust, a Silo TV podcast.
Very cool. Oh my God. I can't wait to watch both the show and your podcast to accompany that show. It's going to be amazing. But yeah. Mike, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at That's in LA, The Nerds of Color, and We Live Entertainment, and at all socials on Michael. I am Michael J. Lee.
Very cool. Very cool. Julie, where can everyone find you?
I'm on Instagram at Raelyn. That's JRAELYN. I'm on TikTok at JRaelady, JRAELADY. I post some fun stuff and occasionally some Star Wars content. And I'm also on Twitter at Silent Caffeine. I'm just not on Twitter all that much, so the first two are probably your best bet. So yeah.
Very cool. And for this season, I've been your host, Mike Manalo. You can find me at TidyBowBoy182 on Instagram and Twitter, as well as working with my colleague, Mike Lee, and the Nerds of Color, That's at LA, and WhatToWatch.com as well. Until next time, everyone, stay safe. May the Force be with you.
This is the way.
This is the way.